One of the most effective ways that an athlete can improve their aerobic fitness is with a specific focus on low heart rate training. Otherwise known as Zone 2 training is a fantastic way for an athlete to build their aerobic foundation without going into levels of fatigue, which is going to impact the consistency and the enjoyment of the sport. But while this is one of the most popular recommendations for a new athlete to take on when they're trying to improve their aerobic fitness, one of the most difficult things for a new athlete to do is maintain their heart rate in the appropriate zone and make sure they're not crossing into levels of effort which is above and beyond the goal of low heart rate Zone 2 training. So while there's a whole heap of ways that we can monitor this and make sure we're training in an effective zone for what it is we're trying to achieve, today I want to have a look at a number of the most popular ways that you can get a really solid grip on Zone 2 training and avoid the pitfalls that come with pushing a little bit harder than what you should be for this style of training. Let's have a look. Okay, if we're going to talk about training according to a heart rate zone, the first thing that we need to do is know what those zones are. While there's 5 zones of heart rate training based on your maximum heart rate, it's very important we find out what yours as an individual are in order to get a guide of what we should be targeting when we're out there running. You've heard the old saying, if you don't know where it is you're trying to go, it's going to be very difficult to get there. And the same is true with heart rate training. If you don't know where you should be, then naturally you're going to be going into zones above and beyond where you should be. So, quick overview, Zone 1 training is about 50 to 60% maximum effort. That's a very light aerobic effort. That's walking or some light stretching, very low effort of exercise. Zone 2, which is what we're referring to here, is 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. And if you want a picture of what that looks like, think about going out for a jog at a very conversational pace. If you can't speak in full sentences with the person that you're running with, chances are you're going a little further and faster than what you should be. Above and beyond that, Zone 3 starts to get a little more like a steady state run, and Zone 4 and 5 begins to tap into the territory of maximal effort. Now, there's a number of free resources online which is going to give you a really good gauge of what your maximum heart rate is during exercise. And once you get that, you can work backwards from there. So your first step is go and figure out what are your zones of training. What is your maximum heart rate to be considered Zone 2 training? And from there, you've got yourself a nice foundation to plan the rest of your week of running. The second thing you're going to want to do is make sure you've got an accurate heart rate monitor. Now, while so many athletes like going out and running in the really popular watch Garmin, which have the wrist monitor, sometimes they can be a little inconsistent or a little bit buggy, which means that you're getting a really inaccurate view of what your heart rate is. One easy way to overcome this is go out and spend about $100 on a heart rate monitor strap which goes around your chest. Obviously, that beat of your heart is a lot stronger than the beat in your wrist, and as a result, your ability to pick up the heart rate through a strap is increased significantly. Now, the beauty with this is so often if we're going out with the wrist strap on and we're trying to judge our heart rate from that, and all of a sudden it checks out or it's going up way higher than you believe you're running, your mind's taken to a place that you don't need to take stress to. What you need to do is eliminate as much mental stress from the process as you possibly can, and one of the most effective ways to do that is through a heart rate strap which has a proven record at being effective. Once you've got the first 2 steps in place, third thing we want to speak about is staying hydrated. While it's incredibly obvious that it's important to stay hydrated as a distance runner, what a lot of us don't realize is the impact that being dehydrated can play on our heart rate. One of the most interesting ways that dehydration can impact our heart rate, in my opinion, is that when your sweat rate is radically decreased, it means that your body struggles more to release that heat that it's holding onto. You can't sweat as effectively as what you otherwise would. With an increased body temperature, a side effect of that can be an increased heart rate. So if you're dehydrated, that can naturally lead to you shooting out a higher heart rate. The other way that it can impact us is when we're dehydrated, our blood stroke volume or our heart stroke volume is inhibited. When we're hydrated, with each pump of our heart, more blood is getting pumped through our body. But if less blood is getting pumped through our body as a result of you being dehydrated, that simply means that our heart has to work faster to do the same job. So one of the most helpful things that you can do is figure out how much water and how many other things like sodium tablets are you going to need to take on to be more effective in staying hydrated. I've linked a really good free sweat test through Precision Fuel and Hydration in the description below. That can be a great place for you as an individual to start getting a grip on how to be more hydrated. The fourth thing we want to talk about is a reduction in stress and tension. This is important both on the running track and off the running track. Just quickly, if you're stressed and tense constantly before you go out for a run, obviously the emotional fatigue that comes with that is exhausting. So rather than starting the run with a certain level of freshness, you're already getting out there feeling fatigued. But then on a practical level, when you think about that fight or flight response being active when you're out there running, a number of things are happening. Your breath goes from slow and relaxed to fast and rapid. If you're in a state of flight or fight, your heart rate is naturally increased. When your heart rate is naturally increased because of your emotional state, then staying within a low heart rate training zone is going to be impacted. Now, there's so many ways that people take care of their stress and reduce the emotional toll on their body. I would encourage you to come up with a little routine each day that allows you to more effectively deal with stress so that when you get out on your run, your heart, your breath can be used to actually enhance your performance rather than inhibit it. And number 5, you might need to progress slowly. While we all have a bit of an idea of what it is we would like our progress as an athlete to look like, sometimes things don't happen as quickly as what we would like it to happen. So if you notice that you're out there and you're trying to run at a conversational slow pace and still your heart rate's going into a zone which is into zone 3 or even 4, perhaps alternate some walking with some running. Maybe you need to slow down the process a little bit. But I'll tell you this, if you can stay consistent and patient with your body as it progresses in its fitness journey, you're going to be amazed at how much your body and fitness improves over the next 12 months. Don't let yourself be put off by a slower progress than what you're anticipating. If you can adjust your training plan to suit your heart rate zones, which might mean walking from time to time, that's going to be beneficial to you in the long run. So make sure you take those steps. Guys, if you need any more professional guidance with your running training, regardless of what level you're at, I work with a number of athletes one-on-one from all over the world on a variety of different levels. I've linked those coaching options in the description below. There's no one who's too unfit. There's no one who's too new to running. Sometimes just having someone in your corner can be a real advantage, whether it's to talk through the training or just dump some emotional stress on when things aren't going as you're anticipating they would. Make sure you check out the Relaxed Running Podcast. Any suggestions, any comments, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, let me know with a like. Hit subscribe. Got new videos and podcast episodes coming out here every single week. But for now, happy training, and I'll speak to you all in the comments below.